last few hundred years. So I've been exploring within regards to many different rabbis that actually were great in Turkey itself. But what Turkey is interesting about and notable about, they've got many famous, stunning synagogues all over the places. We're going to go through the list and maybe pick out a few of the synagogues within regards to these places. First of all, in Istanbul especially, you have the Ahrida synagogue. I think that was founded as early as 1460. I think it's located actually in the Faith neighborhood. We're going to speak about that in due course. Then there's a Ashkenazi synagogue. I think it was actually started up by an Austrian Jew back in the year 1900. That is in an area called Beogla. We're going to maybe speak about that in due course also. The Bakrikoy synagogue, that was opened in the 19th century, naturally in the area of Bakrikoy. And then Beit Abraham synagogue. Now, I'm not too sure the exact date when it was opened, but that is an area of faith over there. Then the Beit Israel synagogue, that I believe was started in the year 1920s in an area called Sicily over there in Istanbul. As we progress, there's more synagogues over there which are notable, especially the Kadabostan synagogue. Now that is more recent, from the year 1953. That was started in an area called Kadikoy, I think in Istanbul. Now the Estibol synagogue, that was started quite recently in the year 2016, I think in the Feth area. And the Etz Hayim synagogue in Besiktas, I'm not sure the exact date, but just looking at the picture, it looks like a very nice place. The Hemdat Yisrael synagogue, that was right at the end of the 19th century, the year 1899, once again in Kadikoy, another synagogue maybe we'll speak about in the next few minutes. Hesed Avraham synagogue, this was in an area, I'm not sure the exact date, but in Buyukada, this was in. Now the famous Italian synagogue in the 19th century, in Beugala, remember, there was a huge Italian community in Turkey of yesteryear, all throughout. Remember, Turkey was, let's say, a bastion in regards to Torah learning, especially in the 1700s, 1800s. So a lot of Italian Jews would go to Turkey. Then there was a synagogue called the Kalakodas Koraki Han synagogue. This was in the 1880s, once again in the area of faith. Then there was the Meir synagogue in the area of Beyugola. And then the Reish Shalom synagogue, I think was started in the year 1951, once again in Beyugola. The Tofre Begadim synagogue, this was also once again in Beogla. Then the famous Yanvol synagogue, I think was in the 18th century. We're talking about in the area of faith. The Yenikoy synagogue, once again in Istanbul, in the area of Sanya. And possibly, maybe one of the most famous synagogues, which is now the Jewish Museum of Turkey, the Zulfari synagogue. That was in the year 1671 in Beogla. Now, interesting, we're going to go back to Istanbul in a few minutes and explore the history of a few of those synagogues. How about Izmir? Now in Izmir, that was also a centre place of Torah learning. Most notably the Beit Israel synagogue in Izmir, which is located in Karatas over there. Very interesting. Now I'll say on the onset over here, most of these synagogues I'll assume are connected to Orthodox stream. I don't know if they veer off to other streams also. I haven't got that much data to tell you all the exact details on that. Okay, so the first one is the Kimmel Ralti synagogue in Izmir. Now the Al-Ghazi synagogue. Now it's interesting, Al-Ghazi was a famous rabbinic family. They were chief rabbis. I'm not sure if they were actually connected to the chief rabbis itself, the synagogue was or not. But if anyone knows, please let me know. Then if we look at, there's more synagogues in Izmir. There's the main Ashkenazi synagogue over there. The Aydinali Shalom synagogue. Once again, the Beit Israel synagogue in Izmir. There's a synagogue called the Beit Hillel over there. I'm not too sure the exact dates these were open. The Bikr Olim synagogue over there. Etz Chaim synagogue of Izmir. Los Forestros synagogue. Then you've got the Hebrew synagogue over there. Kadosh synagogue. The Portugal synagogue. Rosh Ha'ar synagogue. The Sha'ar Shemaim synagogue of Izmir. And the Signora Giveret synagogue, which was also in Izmir. We're going to explain about them. But there was other towns or cities also in Turkey which hosted synagogues and small Jewish communities, especially in Ankara. There was Ankara synagogue there. Then in Bursa, most notably, three notable synagogues there. The Gerush synagogue, the Etz Ahayim synagogue of Bursa, and the Meir synagogue of Bursa. Then in an area called Kanakail, there was a Kanakail synagogue. In Edirne. Edirne is a place we've spoken about before. There was many rabbis that actually came from there. There was a grand synagogue of Edirne, which we'll speak about now. We'll speak about for a minute. I think it was also known as the Adrianople synagogue, obviously housing the Orthodox Jewish synagogue. I think it was actually located in the Ma'arif Street in Edirne, in the Marmara region of Turkey, respectively. So this is famous. Now this is more recent synagogue. I think it was completed in the year 1909. In Moorish revival style, the synagogue was restored following the Second World War. I think it was abandoned in the 1980s and has become an active synagogue again since 2015. Now, most notably, we were talking about this before, in the year 1905 there was a great fire of Adrian Pole and it destroyed more than 1,500 houses and also damaged several synagogues in the city. Let's say at that point in time there's 20,000 strong Jewish community. They needed a place to pray. So following the permission of the Ottoman government at that time and the edict of Sultan Abdul Hamid II, the construction of new synagogue began on January the 6th, 1906 at the site of the ruined synagogues of Meir Ampulia in Suriki, in the Citadel neighborhood. I think it was designed by a French architect of the name Franz de Prey in architectural style, the Sephardi Leopoldstalder Temple in Vienna, naturally in Austria. It cost 1,200 gold coins at the time, and it was open to the service on the eve of Pesach, Passover, in April 1909. And I think it accommodated many people. I think up to 900 men and 300 women in the Ezrat Nashim, respectively. Okay, then there's other synagogues. I think in the Gaziantep area, it's Gaziantep Synagogue in Gaziantep. There was an area called Kilis, which you've spoken about before, called the Kilis Synagogue. Then Hatay, that was another area in Turkey that hosted most notably two synagogues, the Antakya Synagogue in Hatay and the Iskenderun Synagogue in Hatay. Then another area called Manisa, called the Sardis Synagogue. Let's speak about the Sardis Synagogue. I think we've mentioned about this specific area also. Now, the Sardis Synagogue is a former ancient Jewish synagogue. I think it was discovered in modern-day town of Sardis in the Manisa province, I think in the Asian region of Western Turkey. I think the former synagogue building is now an archaeological site and a Jewish museum. The archaeological site is the largest Jewish site known from antiquity. Very interesting. So if someone's going to Turkey, this will definitely be a good Jewish tour, Jewish place to stop. Now, a Romanite Jewish community, I think, existed in this place since the Byzantine Empire. Let's say praying in the Etz Chaim synagogue. Now, after 1492, there was a Spanish expulsion. Many Jews would actually settle there, joining approximately 100 Romanite families. These newcomers founded two synagogues at that point in time, called the Lorca and the Toledo. I think there were two different synagogues for those two different communities, respectively. Now, it's actually interesting. At the end of the 19th century, the Alliance Israelite Universal, it was an entire school system that opened up all over many of these countries, inaugurated two schools, one for boys in 1891 and one for girls in 1896. Remember, the Alliance school network wasn't necessarily a very religious network of schools, as we've spoken about on various occasions before. It was more promoting other languages mostly and Jewish human rights also. Now, at the beginning of the 20th century, the Jewish community numbered 2,000 out of a population of 40,000 over there. So I think Greece would conquer Manisa in 1990. And when they retreated in the year 1922, okay, yes, sorry about that, the connection went. And a synagogue located in the Ayvansari Mahallesi. I think it's an area called the Balat. Place also we've spoken about before here in the series. Balat is another place in Turkey. And I think it was once a thriving Jewish quarter. Let's just say it was a city of faith. Now, in Istanbul province of Turkey, I think it was completed in the year 1430 and one of the oldest synagogues in the city, respectively. Once again, this was built by the Romanites and Greek Jews in the 1430s, and then the Ottoman Empire, which is now North Macedonia. And then the Neve Shalom is said to have moved to an area called Constantinople more than 550 years ago. Many Spanish Jews arrived in Ottoman Empire from the Iberian Peninsula, obviously in 1492, as spoken before, and soon were a larger group of Jews in the population of the Jews in the population of the Romanites. The Romanites of Istanbul, as in many communities, especially in Thessaloniki, who've gone to become assimilated, let's say, more in Sephardic culture and adopted, let's say, the Sephardic liturgy as well as the language of the Sephardim, Judaismo, this is what it was called. Now, the synagogue building, one of two ancient synagogues of Istanbul's Golden Horn, I think would eventually be renovated only 33 years ago, in the year 1992, by the Quincentennial Foundation in celebration of the 500th anniversary of the Sephardic Jews' arrival at that point in time. And another synagogue we'll speak about is the Bet Nissim Synagogue. What's a Bet Nissim Synagogue? This is also known as Beit Nissim Synagogue. It's a Jewish congregation and synagogue located on the Yakub Street in Kuzgungank in Istanbul, I think in Istanbul province of Turkey. that was completed in the late 19th century. Visits the synagogue are available through appointment from the chief rabbinate. It's Ela Kodesh, let's say, dates all the way back to the end of the 18th century, the synagogue. Now let's speak a bit about the Bet Yaakov synagogue. What's that? That's a synagogue located on the Khadi Street in Kuzgunkak, on the Asian side of the Bosphorus in Istanbul. Obviously the province of Turkey over there. Commonly accepted custom construction, I think, was back in the 1878, the Kuzgunkak synagogue. I think more recent research actually indicates that as early as 1862, the Ottoman Sultan would at that point grant permission for the synagogue's renovation. Obviously, this is going to suggest that the building may have been erected at an earlier date. The Jewish population of Kuzgunkak moved away, obviously, in more recent years, but the synagogue is kept alive. There's people that pray there, and families that originated there, some of them are still there. I think the synagogue is open only on Shabbat. It's reported over. Now, another famous synagogue called the Hemdat Yisrael Synagogue. That is obviously located, I think, in Byzantine Street on the Yeldi Gimine neighborhood of the Jewish quarter of Haydar Pasa, I think in Kedik Koy, on the Asian side of Istanbul. Okay. Then the Hesed Avram Synagogue. By the way, the Hesed Avram is a very popular name, various synagogues here in Israel also. It's also known as the Hesed Beit Avram Synagogue, located in Serkesi, I think in the Boykuda, in the Adalar district of Istanbul, in the Istanbul province of Turkey, once again. I think comes back, it was completed in the 1920s. Renovations was done in the 1960s. They actually made a brick, and it was open, I think, originally in the 1920s, only in summer months, it's reported over, like other synagogues in the Princess Islands, I should say. Then the famous Italian synagogue of Istanbul, what was that? It was located in Seir Zia Pasa Street, north of the Golden Horn, in Beyglo, Istanbul. I think obviously in a province over there. Then the Yanbul synagogue, also known as the Bulgarian synagogue. Remember, Bulgaria had a thriving Jewish community of yesteryear. I think it's located on the Ivansari Mahallesi Kurko Sesmi SK, Istanbul. And obviously in this province also was actually established by Bulgarian Jews of the town of Yanbul. I think it was constructed in the 18th century, would go repairs and construction in the 19th century. The synagogue is open, I think, only on Shabbat services, I think currently, due to, let's say, a decrease in Jewish community in that specific area. Now it's interesting, there's a Jewish museum of Turkey. I think it's in current day, obviously housed in 2001, and the foundation was established, foundation in 1989 by 100 to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the arrival of Sfard into the Ottoman Empire. Now the idea of the museum was proposed by a man named Naim Kuluriyuz, who is the curator, and the foundation was financed by the prominent Jewish Kamhi family, reported over. I think it was formerly known as the Zuferio Synagogue. It was restored during the colony, the Republic of Genoa. It was recorded as the Holy Silvani Synagogue, let's just say, and it was called a Zulfaris, which is thought to have derived from the Persian word Zulf Uras, meaning a fringe of a bride. However, the actual building was re-erected over the 19th century, presumably in the early 19th century, probably 1823. Now there's a timeline here. I think that had the marble frame surrounding the Ehal, the Ark, donated by Samuel Malki. 1890 repair work will be with the assistance of the Kamonodo family. In 1904, restoration was conducted by the Jewish community of Galata, presided over by Jack Bey de Leon over there. 1890, so 1968 there'll be a repair. 1979 there'll be the Tharakan origin. The Jews will come there. The last wedding will occur in Zulfaris in 1983. 1985 it ceased as a synagogue, due to there wasn't a minyan or struggling with in regards to that, and the quintessential foundation by Neve Shalom Foundation will take it. 2001, with the backing of the Kamhi family and the contributions of Jack Kamhi, it was inaugurated then as a museum. Very interesting enough. Now in Izmir, we spoke about some of the synagogues over there, especially the Bet Israel synagogue over there. I think it's located in 265 Mithpasma Street, over there. In the Izmir province of Turkey, the synagogue was completed in the year 1907, and it's the largest synagogue in the city. And I think the other major synagogue being the Sha'ar HaShamayim synagogue over there. This has a rich history also, built in 1905. It's interesting, it's recorded over here. Rabbi Avram Palachi would serve as the synagogue's Hazan in 1908. I don't know if that's the same Rabbi Avram Palachi as a son of Rabbi Chaim Palachi, but please, anyone that knows, it says 1908, so I think he passed away by then, so that's what I'm a bit confused about. So maybe he had a son or a descendant, okay, with the same name. The synagogue was renovated in 1954. Come on, April 4th, 2019. And now it's reported over, anti-Semitism occurred over there. An attacker threw a Molotov cocktail at the synagogue, falling on the sidewalk. The bomb did not destroy the synagogue. The attacker claimed that they were trying to protest the state of Israel. We see anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism coming together, unfortunately again. A prominent member of the ruling Justice and Development Party immediately condemned the act. The official said there is no difference between attacks targeting synagogues, churches, and mosques. They all target social peace with their hate. Izmir's Jewish community praised local law enforcement for their quick, swift action. Now, another famous synagogue is the Signora Kiveret Synagogue. What's that? Obviously, once again, an Orthodox synagogue located at Kimeratli, 927th Street, known as the Havras Sokak, the Synagogue Street, once again in Izmir. I think the synagogue dates from the 16th century and is used till today. The synagogue, very famous synagogue there, was built by the Portuguese merchant, some of the name Dona Garcia Mendez, in the 16th century. Now the building was damaged. There was a major fire, as we said, over in the 1841, and it would be restored by the Urisalmi family. According to the original design, the new construction also used Italian architectural style over there. Now then there was a Mayor synagogue of Bursa that is, I think, located in the Arab Sukra or Sakaria Street in Bursa. I think it's no longer used as a synagogue, but it is a mikveh, a ritual bath now in modern day. So I thought this will be an interesting historical video with regards to Turkish synagogue history. Over here we've spoken about in this series possibly about 70-80 Turkish rabbanim already. The most recent chief rabbi of Turkey just passed away, I think, only 6 months ago. Remember, before that there was famous Rabbi Asio, I think it's his Hilulasin, who was a chief rabbi, I think 2002 from 1961, 1962. I think David Asio was his name. A very, very rich history. They've had many chief rabbis over the years, so I recommend everyone to learn more about the Turkish Jewish history. Now friends, we're a community here. We're learning about the famous rabbis of yesteryear. On this series we've covered about 1,150 rabbis already. If you descend from any of the Chachamim I'm speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information. Now, if you actually descend, your family descend from Turkey originally, and you're familiar with any of the synagogues we've spoken about, I would love to hear more from you, so please send me an email. Now friends, subscribe to the channel. We're near 7,000 subscribers. It's absolutely phenomenal at the moment, and we've got much content, much more content in the future. If you feel anyone is interested in watching any of these videos, share these videos also to other people. We don't just record videos on the history of these famous rabbis of yesteryear, we also do clips with inspirational Jewish personalities on this channel. We'll do Parshat Shavua classes, Rosh Chodesh, current Jewish events, and much more. A daily Talmud tidbits we do, and we travel all over Israel to see different sites, different synagogues, and we try and reconnect everyone with their Jewish heritage with a lot of great Israeli pride. So on this note, wishing you all a fantastic week and a Shabbat Tov Barach, and watch videos and subscribe to the channel.